This past summer, I listened to a great many interviews, podcasts, that sort of thing, while I was working. And give you an idea, I listened to a lot of Jordan Peterson, which he's all over the internet. Canadian guy. I'm sure most of you have heard of Jordan Peterson. I don't know what his title is. I listened to a whole bunch of interviews with David Goggins, a Navy SEAL, wrote the book Can't Hurt Me. And then most of you have heard of Stefan Molyneux. And the reason I bring these guys up, let me see here. No, I'm not going to try that. If I find someone who's interesting, I'll just eat up as many videos as I can until I get bored with it. So let's say it was Jordan Peterson. Then this is David Goggins guy and all this kind of thing. Hear a whole bunch of them. So I might hear on Monday night, I might find an interview from one of these individuals, and then I'll see if there's 6, 7, or 8 of them over the rest of the week. I'll watch the rest of them or listen to them while I'm doing what I'm doing. And I've said in the past when I'm doing the Bible videos, talking about forgiveness or judgments, this kind of thing. In this world, in this realm where we live, a lot of people, and I've done this, we go around thinking that there's certain people that get away with everything. You know, that politician or that movie person or that rich guy or your neighbor or your ex or whatever. They get away with everything. And I've always said that no, they don't. And some people say, well, if you're talking spiritually, yeah, the day of judgment will come, and then there'll be justice, but not now. And I don't believe that. I know that every reason I bring up David Goggins, he had a father that was very abusive. And he hated his father. But David Goggins is like an ultra marathon guy. Plus he's done all kinds of other crazy stuff. Very entertaining. But he had said that he could not do what he's done if he was going to carry this weight around, this weight of resentment and hate. And I thought, well, that's very powerful. Because that's basically the Bible's telling you, Jesus was telling you the same thing in the gospel. You have to forgive others. We have to love others. Because if we don't, we're carrying that burden upon us. It's a burden of sin for us. But even if you look at it from David Goggins' point of view, he really nails it. And I'm not saying he's like a Christian or anything like that. But spiritually speaking, he flat nails it. He says he could no longer hate his father. He had to forgive him. Had to let that go. Had to put that excess weight behind him so he could move forward with his life, pick up his speed. Okay? That heavy millstone of hate and resentment was just going to slow him down. And that's how he dealt with it. That is actually a biblical, scriptural way of dealing with something like that. But I'm not saying he's not a preacher, this guy I'm talking, this David Goggins. And then Jordan Peterson, he said several times, because let me real quick. He said several times in his talks that no one gets away with anything in this realm. Because people come to him. Let me give you a title here. This will make more sense. Jordan B. Peterson is a Canadian clinical psychologist and a professor of psychology at the University of Toronto. There. People come to him with a problem, and he's going to analyze this. And they spill their beans to this guy. My whole life's like this, this, and this. And he takes their story, their history, and he'll take it back to an event. What happened here? What happened there? What about this? What about that? To something that they did. Call it their crime, their sin, whatever. Something that they did, and that was the genesis, the starting point of which brought all this negative stuff after that point. And he said he's seen it every time where someone will come with some terrible, sad story, and he could take it back to an event. And he says, this person did not get away with it. Here's what they did wrong, and this is all that followed, all this punishment, all this penalty that followed afterwards. Once again, really, I think that's biblical. And he's not a preacher. Stefan Molyneux, and this was not too long ago. This was before he got kicked off of YouTube. He had somebody called in with an issue, and he said something very, very same thing. He says, "You're not going to get away with this. Nobody gets away with these things. Don't fool yourself. You need to deal with this situation. You need to deal with it correctly, cleanly, and walk away from it without the burden of this. The scales of justice will always be in balance. Justice is always going to be served. Now you may think, well, yeah, but that person over there did all these things and they're still walking around getting away with it. And I'll give you a great example. Hillary Clinton. Now most people think of all the history and stuff behind that family. Oh, all this bad, this and that. I do not believe you could bring penalty or punishment upon Hillary Clinton that could not be as extreme, besides of physical torture, pain, or whatever. You could not bring a penalty or punishment upon Hillary Clinton that would be more extreme than the punishment and penalty that she feels every day when she wakes up, knowing that Donald Trump is president and he beat her. Just because of her personality. She lives in hell every day. I guarantee it. Justice will always be served. Now, yeah, there's a day of judgment coming. Okay. But do not think that anyone gets away with anything. And another thing, if you put the shoe on the other foot, you and I aren't getting away with anything either. So if there's any Christian faith in you at all, we need to walk accordingly. I told this many times. I go to a feed store not far from here to pick up hay or something for my horse. And I might get 10 of these or a dozen of those or whatever the case is. And times the guys will load an extra bale, not paying attention, these young kids. And I'll call them up, say, hey, I paid for 12 bells and I just unloaded 13. I'll come back and pay you for the other one tomorrow. And whoever's a new person behind the counter, why do you do that? You had it, you didn't have to, you had it. You paid for 12. We put an extra one on there accidentally. You were gone. We had no way of knowing you got that extra. A bill of hay is $16 to $17. And I tell them, the reason I called you and told you I'm going to come back and pay for that bill is I don't want to get run over by a bus. It's as simple as that. We're not getting away with nothing at this time, much less by the time of judgment. You need to walk accordingly if you believe that. But like I said, it was very interesting to hear these three guys in a very short amount of time say the same identical thing. Nobody's getting away with anything. And you need to, if you think someone's got something on you or they did you in, or you have a reason to be resentful to someone or hateful or hold a grudge, don't carry that weight. Do not carry that upon you. You need to put that away. Forgive, forget, move on. Much lighter, much faster. Love you. God bless.